most trustless name in news.
Now, I could go ahead and follow the herd with video titles exclaiming, "The end is nigh for Bitcoin," and thumbnails covered in red. But that isn't me, that isn't Chico. We blaze our own path and go against the grain, because we have been in brutal bear markets 3 times before. Any time is a good time to buy Bitcoin, but in the depths of a bear, it's the best. Oh, why? Well, Bitcoin's going to go up forever, and that means it's time for Chico Crypto. Last week, I did a candid video on this same topic, but I totally feel like a fully produced video will explain it much, much better. So why will Bitcoin only go up forever?
Only up.
Why is the chart of Bitcoin's progress against fiat currencies going to look like this when we zoom out over the next 100 years? Well, to begin this episode, we need to understand exactly what money is and why money functions.
Oh, I like money.
Money today is wholly just a series of ones and zeros in a computer. For banks and traditional finance, that money is kept and sent through centralized servers for the world's populations to use at their discretion. They can withdraw the more decentralized cash money, or they can use centralized payment networks and can pay with their cards or phones. Money today is just an avenue for people to acquire goods and services. It's a middleman for value exchange. People work for money or sell things for money to acquire more money, so they can in turn acquire more things. It's a circular flow that is a key part of the history of this earth, the past, present, and the future. Speaking of the past, money and its basic functions were very similar to today. The only difference is money was 100% kept in the physical realm, not digital like today. Ancient Egyptians used goods as money for most of their history. Beer, grain, and oils, and other things were directly exchanged with another. Value to value instead of value to money to value. They cut out the middleman of money, but they did start minting coins towards the end of their reign, which may have contributed to their downfall. Gold, silver, and bronze coinage was commonly used during the reign of Cleopatra, ancient Egypt's last active ruler. So what did the royal family start doing with their coinage currency? A type of inflation called debasement. This is when any form of currency that is made from a precious metal is mixed with a metal of inferior quality or value. As we can see from this research piece on ancient Egypt money, they say, following his analysis, Olivier concluded that there were 3 phases of debasement. The first of these can be dated from the start of the Ptolemaic period until 155 to 154 BCE, at which point there is slight debasement. The second phase, according to Olivier, ran from around 140 BCE to 60 BCE, where the composition of coins was changed significantly by an increase of the copper and lead content. And then the final phase began around 59 to 58 BCE with an intensification of the composition change, and that was observed at the time through ancient coins. Currency debasement ramped up throughout the history of their coinage. The Egyptian overlords got greedy, and the people of Egypt got poorer and poorer as they debased, which allowed the Romans to completely take over. Weak population equals an easy takeover. But guess whose empire also collapsed, partly due to currency debasement? Those who took over the Egyptians, the Romans. To fund these excursions of taking over empires like Egypt and expanding, guess what the Romans had to do to fund their military? They had to debase their currency. Supplies of precious metals dwindled during the 2nd century, 100 to 200 AD, while the Roman military budget was soaring due to their expansion efforts. In just a few decades, the cost of the military for the Romans increased by over 70%. To fund this, they started debasing. From this chart, we can see when they took over Egypt, their denarius coins were basically 100% silver. And this lasted to the turn of the millennium, up to 50 AD. But during the time of military expansion, they debased them severely. And by 250 AD, in just 200 years, the coins went from 100% silver to 0% purity. The Roman rulers during this time got greedy and they needed to debase. They debased and inflated. The Roman Empire, the middle class, the poor, everyone was weak because their currency didn't mean anything. Again, a weak population equals easy takeover. By 476 AD, the Roman Empire collapsed. Debasement collapse. Two empires. Well, in today's monetary system of ones and zeros in computers, another type of debasement is happening by literal clicks of a button. This is called inflation, and now they do it by just adding some more ones and zeros into a computer. From the beginning of America's founding up to 1913, there was practically no inflation in the US due to paper currency having a 100% gold backing in a distributed network of banks across states. It was the era of free banking, with only state-chartered banks in existence. But no, America decided to change. We went fully centralized in 1913 with the creation of the Federal Reserve. Lies about how much gold was backing the currency, aka debasement, started, and we can see inflation in the US started to go wild. After the US fully went off the gold standard in the 70s, when they abandoned the destroyed remnants of it, US inflation went ballistic. From the creation of the Fed to today, inflation is up 3,000%. America and the dollar are on their way to their end, as the Fed just creates more ones and zeros out of thin air. Printing press goes brrr. But what if you had a series of ones and zeros that couldn't be tampered with? The supply of these ones and zeros is constrained. Well, there was a system like this created in 2009 called perfect money, Bitcoin, that will only go up forever. We all know the supply of Bitcoin will only ever be 21 million, but likely less due to lost or destroyed coins. From this article, we can see the research firm Chainalysis estimated 25% of Bitcoins out there are thought to be lost through the loss of private keys. That's nearly 5 million BTC. If no more BTC are lost through the history of mining, its max supply is likely around 16 million coins. So, reason number one, Bitcoin is only going to go up forever. People will keep losing coins. Every lost or destroyed coin only increases the value of other coins. It's a constant price increase pressure. So why else will Bitcoin only go up forever in price? Well, Bitcoin is a global currency that crosses borders like never before. From this article, we can see from a AAA study, they estimated that globally there are 420 million cryptocurrency owners. The study notes that this represents a 4.2% of the worldwide population. Only 4.2% out of the billions out here own crypto. And as we know, the population is increasing exponentially, estimated to grow from the current 7.8 billion to 9.8 billion by 2050. In just over 25 years, the population will grow by 25%. More people demanding Bitcoin, the higher the price will go. It's just economics. More demand, less supply equals increasing prices. So why else will Bitcoin only go up forever? Well, the second reason I gave ties into this reason. As the world population grows in size, the more things that are created. Things are innovated, technology, production, etc. The GDP of the world is going to grow. The value in this world is going to grow exponentially. As we can see, PwC put out a report on how the world would look in 2050 economically. In their GDP projections, they say, we project that the world economy will double in size by 2042, growing at an annual average rate of around 2.6% between 2016 and 2050. Bitcoin is just ones and zeros that people decide on its exchange rate against fiat currencies will use dollars. And those dollars are used to buy things. aka dollars and fiat currencies are a representation of value. Bitcoin then is just a representation of value. As more value is created within the world's economies, Bitcoin with its constrained supply will only go up in price. Dollars with their unlimited supply will lose value. Bitcoin to 1 million is pure FUD. What do you think? Cheers. I'll see you next time.
The most trustless name